Hi, I'm Heidi Quinn, one of the real women of Philadelphia. You probably love to go to the steakhouse if you're anything like me, but the steakhouse lines are long. You have to leave a tip, and the menu is usually pretty pricey. So today I want to show you how to make a steakhouse dinner at home that you can enjoy every bit as much for way less money. It's a steak Gorgonzola roll-up, and it's going to be served with some normal steakhouse side dishes that you would expect to find when you go to the steakhouse. So I'm going to show you how to make this entree, which is the steak Gorgonzola roll-up. What I have here is some top round steak. Now this is actually a very cheap cut of meat. It doesn't cost much at all. I laid it on my cutting board on a piece of plastic, and I'm going to cover it with a piece of plastic wrap as well. And this is where I get to take out all my frustrations for the week. I have my meat mallet, and what I want to do is pound this out until it's relatively thin. Now you might be asking, why do I have plastic on top of it? Well, unless you want a steak shower, this is a good way to avoid having it splash up at you when you use the tenderizer. So first I'm using the tenderizer, and I'm going to be quiet now because you probably can't hear me anyway. To really thin it out. Take it even a little thinner. Okay? So now we have a nice thin piece of steak. What I have here is about 1.5 cups of chopped spinach. Now this is the frozen kind that's thawed out. I have 1 cup of cooked and crumbled bacon. I'm going to add that right in too. I have a whole bar, the 8-ounce bar of the original Philadelphia cream cheese. That's going to go in softened. Here I have about a teaspoon of onion powder. I'm going to put that in. Next I have some savory grill seasoning. This is regular grill seasoning. You can buy it at any store. And I'm going to put in about 1 tablespoon of the grill seasoning. I have 2 cloves of garlic that are chopped. I'm going to add that in as well. And I'm going to add in about 2.5 ounces, or half a container, of crumbled Gorgonzola cheese. This is basically just a blue cheese, and regular blue cheese would work here too. So I'm going to stir this all up and combine it all together, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all finished. Okay, so this is well mixed, and it made a nice paste-like consistency. I'd like you to take a look and see what this looks like when it's all mixed together. I combined all of those ingredients to make a nice paste that we're going to spread on the steak. So I'm going to take one of the steaks, and I'm going to take a little bit more of this grill seasoning, and I'm going to just season both sides of the steak. This will just impart extra steakhouse flavor. And I'm going to take half of this spread, and I'm going to go ahead and just spread this on the steak evenly. You don't want it to be too thick. Spread it out nice and thin. It's okay to re-dip in here because you're going to cook all of this, so it's okay to go from steak to bowl back to steak. You're not really contaminating it because you're going to use it all. I'm going to make 2 of these, but I'm going to just show you one, and then I'm going to make an extra one so that if I have another guest over, I can give them all dinner. So now that we have this all spread out evenly on the steak, I'm going to take the end of the steak and I'm going to tuck it and start to roll this up. When I get to the end, I'm going to secure it with a few toothpicks. And that is just to hold all the stuffing inside and keep the uniform shape that we have here. So I'm going to get the other one finished, and then... Okay, so we're ready to cook our meat. Over here in the pan, I heated about 1/2 cup of olive oil on medium-high. You can see the oil is running thin, and it ripples, and that means it's hot. And also, I'm going to take these bulldogs in here. What I'm doing is achieving a nice sear on the meat. This is going to caramelize the outside of the meat and preserve the flavor, and it'll also help seal in the juices so that when we put it in the oven to roast, it holds all its juices and moisture inside. The other tip I want to give you while this is searing is to always bring your meat to room temperature before you cook it, because if you don't, the meat is cold and when it hits a hot pan, it kind of shrinks up and it gets tough. So this is a good way to keep your meat nice and moist and tender instead of getting tough. The toothpicks are holding this together. And I'm just taking a look about it, what it's doing. And I just want to get a nice sear on this meat, on all sides I put it in. And when this is all seared, okay, so we're going to sear for about 10 minutes, and that should just be enough to caramelize the outside of the meat before we transfer it into the oven to roast the rest of the way. So I have the oven preheated, and I'm going to take this and put it right in the oven. You can see that it has nice caramelization on the meat, and that's, like I said, just sealing those juices. And I'm going to get this in the oven right now. We're using an oven-safe skillet to do that. If you have a handle that could melt, this could be a problem, and you might want to transfer it to a casserole dish. But I'm going to put this in the oven and keep an eye on it, and in about 20 minutes, or maybe a little longer, depends on how thick your meat is, we should have a nice Gorgonzola steak roll-up to show you. So I just took the steak out of the oven, and this is what it looks like. It shrinks up quite a bit in there. So what I'm going to do now is slice this to make the pinwheels. I like to serve the center portion on the fancy plate because it's the nicest, most pinwheely part of it. But obviously the whole thing is just as delicious. But we should be able to actually get like about 3 servings out of here. Now my guests usually like their steak medium or medium rare. So that's how I cook this. You can cook it all the way through until it's well done if you prefer it that way. But as you can see, this has the creamy spinach and gorgonzola filling. And I'm going to show you how I like to plate this. What I have here is just a quartered iceberg lettuce wedge and a baked potato that I just threw in the oven for about 45 minutes. And I'm going to take one of these steak roll-ups and plate that alongside. And some of the gorgonzola mix kind of slides out, and it makes a beautiful topping for it. Now if you let this rest a really long time and comes back to room temperature, that might stay in there, but I actually think it looks nice as a sauce. So what I like to do with my lettuce wedge is dress it with blue cheese dressing. Your favorite blue cheese dressing is fine. You can also make your own. If you are that ambitious, go right ahead. So I'm going to just drizzle some blue cheese down over that lettuce wedge. And then I have some cooked and crumbled bacon that I'm going to garnish it with as well. You could top the baked potato any way you like. So let me grab a fork because I do want to taste this. I'm very excited, and the smells are just driving me crazy here. So I'm going to take a little forkful of the steak and just see how we like it. I have a whole mouthful, I couldn't help it. That's really good. It's almost like a cream spinach rolled up in there, and the gorgonzola cheese is delicious as well. You get the tanginess and the savory flavors of the steakhouse, and you never even had to leave home. You don't have to leave a tip. All you have to do is wash the dishes, and it's totally worth it. So take a look at this dinner, folks. You can be making this tonight in no time at all, with the help of Philadelphia cream cheese and the Real Women of Philadelphia. I hope to see you in Savannah. Take care. Onions and the bacon are very aromatic here.